Hello everyone, Andrew here from Growing Chefs Ontario again. The purpose of this video is to take you through a quick tour of all of the resources that we've put together for our Growing Chefs at the Western Fair Virtual Edition for 2020. First things first, I'm going to focus mostly on our cooking videos that we're using today and how to adapt the activities in those videos to children of different ages. First of all, it is so absolutely important to bring your children into the kitchen and involve them in the meal making process. Any experience that your kids can have in understanding how your food gets from seed to our plates in the kitchen and being involved in a hands-on way with that preparation at any time in that process can really help kids be more comfortable trying new foods and approaching mealtime, and especially approaching new foods that they haven't tried before with a positive attitude. Bringing your kids into the kitchen to cook with you can also be a little bit stressful. So this is here just to help you get organized before you end up having to clean ingredients off the ceiling. So first of all, if your kids are a little bit older and are capable of hanging out with you the entire way through the cooking video, that's fantastic. Just know that you're encouraged to pause the video at any time while you catch up with the steps. You can obviously rewind it and fast forward at any time as well. Something to remember, no matter how old your kids are, if they get bored or just feel done with the activity, even 5 minutes involved in this process in the kitchen with you can be tremendously beneficial. So don't get frustrated with them if they need to move on to something else. I would always encourage, no matter what age your kids are, to just have them finish up whatever it is that they are doing, whatever task they're on. And that's generally making sure that all of your dishes are either put into a sink or in the dishwasher, that their counter is wiped off, and any ingredients or equipment that they had out is put away properly. And that should be explained to them before you start, that they are going to be responsible for cleaning up their in a professional kitchen, we call it their station, and that's going to be part of the job. From there, all of our cooking videos start with a list of all the ingredients that you'll need and any equipment that you'll need beforehand. For kids of any age, even assisting with gathering all of the ingredients and gathering all the equipment can in itself be their involvement in the activity. And if that's all that they're ready to help with, that's absolutely fantastic. Now, as we move forward into adapting all of the activities within the videos, I consider kids to be, I'm going to categorize them in 3 different age groups. The first one being the youngest, from kind of your preschool or junior kindergarten age up to maybe grade 2. And then you've got your kind of grade 3 to grade 6 age, and then your intermediate and into high school age. Now, that said, kids always function at different levels. If you've ever watched Top Chef Junior, you will see kids that are 10, 11 years old that could cook circles around me and half the people on our team. So take this just as a recommendation. You know your kids best. If we're asking or suggesting something that you don't think your kids are ready for or that make you uncomfortable, you are the boss in this situation. So adapt things as you see fit. But to get things started, really, if you want to bring your youngest kids into the kitchen, the biggest thing to do is to choose what you want to ask them to do and to organize yourself before they come into the kitchen with you. So as an example, for young kids, some activities that are really good for them, and I would recommend for that youngest age group, again, that preschool to about grade 2 age, choose 1 to 3 activities that you are going to task them with. And let that be what it is. If they're ready at the end of that 3rd task for more, then you can keep going with them. That's fantastic. But 1 task, 5 minutes, that could be the start. And then it takes a while to have kids involved with you in the kitchen to get that attention span and that willingness to stick with the activity all the way through for them to be ready for that. So be patient with them as well. With young kids, the best thing that you can do is to do a bunch of the work ahead of time. For example, in our multigrain pancake recipe, you will notice that Chef Anna has all of her ingredients measured and laid out in different containers at the start of the video. If your kids are in that young age group, I would recommend doing all of that measuring ahead of time and have things laid out separately in different bowls. Your bowls and containers can be anything that you have at home. You don't have to get something different. You could use Tupperware, old recycled margarine or yogurt containers. You could use different bowls if you have them around. Whatever you have in your house is fine. And for kind of that youngest age group, saying you need to add these 7 ingredients into 1 bowl bowl and then you're going to stir it together is a fantastic way to get them started. They could count them out as they go as a little pre-math activity, and then learning to stir them together for a little bit of motor skills work is a great way to start. As your kids get into that second age group, they may be able to apply what they're learning in school with fractions by using those measuring cups and spoons, and they could help you measure out those ingredients. And then by the time you get into that older age group, the kids could be involved in gathering the ingredients from the cupboard, measuring them all out, and then combining them together to make the batter. So as you can see, it's really just the time that they're involved and how much preparation work that you do. First of all, again, combining ingredients that you pre-measured out, fantastic way to start. Reading the recipe out to you and making sure that you're following the steps in a certain order is a great skill set. You could even have them doing something as simple as setting the table. That's great as well. Kids at pre-kindergarten level can start to learn how to wipe off surface areas. I like to, with that youngest age group, use the Zamboni method, I call it, where they use the cloth and literally see the work surface as if it's an ice surface, and their cloth is the Zamboni going along to it, where they can then gather the ingredients in their hand, whatever they're wiping off in their hand, and either put it in the garbage or the compost. If you have a spatula around and you're working with like a wet batter, like our pancake video, I like to call using a spatula uncoloring, as you strip all the leftover batter from the edge of the bowl. It's like coloring in reverse, and some kids find that to be quite fun. Again, some great motor skill development there as well. So just remember, it doesn't matter how involved the task is, you just want them to be involved at all. What kids at that young and even that middle age are looking to learn is familiarizing themselves with the ingredients of the dish so that it's not something entirely new for them when it comes time to tasting something. It's the sensory experience of smelling those ingredients cooking, of hearing what they sound like as they're cooking or as you're measuring them out. Are they hard or soft or crunchy or salty or sweet? All of that experience is fantastic for kids and can help them approach something that's new more positively. The last thing that I'm going to focus on is some of the more advanced things, like working with sharp tools and working with heat. Generally speaking, we would encourage you to not start using the sharp tools and working with heat and stirring pots on the stove or pans on the stove until they're in that middle to older age group. That said, I have worked with many kids in kindergarten and grade 1 and 2 that are ready for that step. So this is really what's up to you. If you are going to have your kids chopping or using sharp tools, a great place to start is with a peeler. And kids as young as kindergarten are capable of starting to learn to use a peeler safely. And the best part is working with a peeler. Even if you do make a little mistake, it generally results in just a small little Band-Aid and you can move right on. And that's good experience for them to learn how to be careful with the tools. If your children are ready to start using knives and are really excited about the idea of chopping, chopping ingredients up is a fantastic pre-math skill, because you're learning to take larger objects and learning how to cut them down into consistently sized smaller pieces. And this is great practice for them. So the first thing I would encourage you to do is set them up properly. So you need a clean cutting board that's appropriate sized. You'll need a cloth for wiping it off. You may need a second wet cloth to put underneath to keep it from sliding around if you're working on a counter. And then from there, you want to help your children to see the cutting board as a workspace that needs to be kept clean. And it's just as important to keep your tools and your workspace clean as it is to keep your hands clean. And if you're at this point in the video, you already should have washed your hands a few times. And you want to apply that same theory to where you're working. So if you're going to chop some ingredients on a cutting board and then you want to switch to a second ingredient that you're chopping, your cutting board should be wiped off and completely cleared in between. And you can even have them make sure that the table space around is clean as well. We like to start kids when they're learning how to chop with this tool. We call it a safe chopper. It is just a wavy fruit and vegetable chopper. You can buy them online. If you're in the London area, our really good friends down at Jill's Table down on King Street in the downtown area sell them for us. And what I love about this tool is it cuts whatever you're cutting into a wavy pattern. It's not so sharp that if you do make a mistake, you're not going to have a mess to clean up. And 3, it has the same shaped handle as any chef knife does, just a little bit of a smaller size. so your kids can learn to hold it properly, and the motion on the cutting board teaches them those fantastic pre-knife skills. At Growing Chefs, we always recommend children start with this tool, graduate to a paring knife or your smaller knife, and then eventually up to your more traditional size chef knives, which you can get in different sizes depending on how old your kids are. But really, that's the most important that I can say is if you're not comfortable with them chopping, then skip it for now. And if you are giving them any of these tools, you want to be hanging out right there with them. So if they do make a mistake, you can likely see it before it happens. You never want to set up kids until they're in that oldest age group to be chopping things unassisted. Aside from that, that's just a little bit of an introduction. You can always reach out to us at growingchefsontario.ca if you have further questions. But I hope you enjoy exploring all these cooking videos that we've put together for you for our Western Fare and Growing Chefs 2020 virtual edition. Enjoy and happy cooking, everyone.